Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a new variation within the French defense for white that I have been experimenting on and I'd like to share with you guys. But first, I want to give you a heads up. I'm not a specialist in this variation. I'm just trying it on. So if you guys have any recommendations, leave a comment down below. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button down below and join the team. But let's jump right into it. I am a French defense myself, French defense player. So I play the French as black and it's my favorite defense against 24. But what I try to do is I play what's annoying for me. So whenever I face a move that is annoying and I feel like, wow, this is super annoying, I have never seen this before, I try to copycat that and play that against my opponents when they play that against me. So whenever I play e4, and my opponent replies by playing the French defense, I've been trying and experimenting on this move f4. Instead of playing d4 and going for a typical French defense, I'm playing like a King's Gambit reminiscent style, and I push f4. And my opponents are thrown off by this position, like move 2. And I say that because I am a French defense player myself, and when I see this move, when I saw it for the first time, I was like, what is this? I have never seen this before. This guy's thinking that he's playing the King's Gambit, but this is the French defense, until I figured out that this is a real variation. It's a real variation within the French defense. It's called La Bourdonnais variation. Excuse my French. And most of the times your opponent are going to reply by playing d5. Sometimes they might play like c5 and go for a Sicilian defense structure. You might play like knight f3 and go for a Grand Prix attack maybe, if you like playing that. But more often than not, French defense players, just like me, they like to pre-move these two moves. So whenever opponent plays e4, I pre-move these two moves, basically. So you're going to face d5. And here, we're not going to take, we're just going to push e5, grab some space, make it hard for black to develop this knight. We are grabbing space, just like in advanced variation. And your opponent, believe me, guys, I play the French, so they're going to play like an advanced variation. So all the moves that are typical from the French defense, advanced variation, they're going to play this move. Knight's going to come here, queen's going to come here, these bishops are going to come here and here. This knight might come, for example, here and then there to attack this square, or sometimes this move and then this move to hit for this square. So these are the typical moves in the French advance, so you can expect those moves. And here our plan is very simple. We're going to develop this knight and try to control this square and push d4. But before we do that, we have to prepare some moves like c3 and bringing this knight over here so we can push d4 safely. Okay, so our plan is to establish a very powerful pawn pyramid in the center of the board. So that's why after your opponent plays c5, we're going to play knight f3, controlling this square. And after knight to c6 here, typical move in the French defense, especially the advanced variation, we're going to play c3. This is to control this square even more. And the idea is to push d4, but we have to prepare that. And how are we going to do that? This maneuver, knight to a3 and knight to c2, will be very typical to put more control over this d4 square so we can push d4 safely. That's what we're going to do. After, let's say, knight to h6, which is one of the most popular moves here in this position, believe me, sometimes they're going to go for the knight here and then here, or knight here directly, just like we can't take this knight with this bishop. In a normal advanced variation, we could have this option of taking this knight and messing up black's pawn structure. It's not possible in this case, so they can go for this, and it's very common, believe me. Then we're going to go for our plan, and our plan is that we're going to play knight here to a3 and then back to c2 so we can push d4. This is going to be our plan. We're going to place this bishop right here a lot of the times, so this is a very typical move because as soon as black plays this move, we're going to take that knight, forcing black to take with this pawn. So we trade this bishop for the knight, and then we can castle maybe. So this is a typical move. Sometimes we play this even before we push d4, so keep your eyes open for these variations. So knight to a3, and nothing that black does here basically is going to stop us, besides for this move like d4 that can be played. If black plays this move before we do, then honestly I don't know exactly what to do. I've been struggling with this variation. So if you know what to do, guys, if you know a good variation against that, please leave in the comments down below because I really need that. So this is not a typical move within the French, so your opponents are probably not going to play this move. They might play this move, but not this one. So no matter what black goes for here, if they play, let's say, bishop to d7, which is a typical move too, we're going to play knight to c2, and after queen to b6, for example, typical move as well, we're going to push d4. They're not going to stop our plan. If they take, we just take back, and that's pretty much it. And if they go for bishop to e7, trying to castle very quickly, what we're going to do here is we're going to play knight to c2 no matter what and push d4 right after the castle. Okay, if they go for queen to b6, same thing goes. We're going to play knight to c2 and our plan remains the same. We achieved our goal of establishing this pawn pyramid in the center of the board. So what black's probably going to do here is bring this knight over here, and as they do that, we have two options. Right? We can push the pawn right away, and we can develop this bishop here to trade for that, right? So, but first we're going to just play knight to c2. This is our move, right? So after knight f5, we play knight to c2, preparing the pawn push right here. So what actually annoys me is this move right here, the move d4. If they play that before we do, this is a little annoying to me. So what I've been doing here is playing the typical move, bishop to d3, to trade for that knight. So we just castle, and then I play queen e2, but I've been struggling with this one so far. So after they play any other move like bishop to e7, or maybe queen here or bishop here, we're just going to follow up with our plan of playing d4. So we established our very powerful center here, just like we were planning. Another move that we can go for here is to push bishop, to play the bishop to d3 and take that knight. So they are forced to take and have doubled pawns here. And then we can push d4 after that. And now we have established our center. And as they take that, we can take back with the pawn. It's okay, totally okay to take back with the pawn and have the pawn structure there. Taken with the knight, with either knight here is fine as well. We're going to force some trades. After takes, we can castle. Bishop to c5 will be played. We can play b3 so we can defend this pawn, right? And free this bishop maybe to develop right here. Okay, so this is one of the options. But more often than not here, after, let's say, this, we're going to push d4 and establish the center that we want. This is the moves that I'm going for here. And after c takes, for example, we just take back with the pawn. So whenever they take, we just take back with the pawn. Taking with the knight is okay in most variations. Queen to b6 is a move here. Bishop to d3, typical move that we know, just to trade here maybe and castle later. So bishop to d7, we can go ahead and castle next move. It's a possibility. After this move, we can go ahead and castle. We can take this knight if we want. Other moves that are possible here, I think taking the knight is very, very typical here. We can go ahead and castle as well. It's another alternative. We can try to push this pawn and then maybe develop this bishop right here or right here. Rook to b1 is not a terrible idea. Queen coming here to d3 is also an idea. So from here on is just the middle game. And this is one of the variations that I'm experimenting on. And I've been having some success. So there are some famous games within this variation I'm going to bring for the next videos, guys. So if you like this video and if you like this variation, please leave a comment down below. Like the video if you liked it. And as always, I see you guys in the next one.